Hello, everybody. Brenna here.
And I'm Gabby.
And this is the Mystery of Everything podcast. I'm not going to hit the applause button. I did it last time and it was like way too loud when I went back to edit. Well, the first time it didn't work. The second time it did work, but it was super loud. So this time we're just going to go back to normal. I thought I had something there for a minute and I didn't. Anyways, what is today's episode about? It's about mitochondria. Aren't you all excited?
Whoa.
I know I am.
I feel like we all know about mitochondria because guess what? It's the powerhouse of the cell.
Gabby, I was just about to say that.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
No, but that is like Ryan at work was talking about that. And he was like, I feel like everyone, like even if you didn't pay attention in school whatsoever, you remember that, oh, mitochondria is the powerhouse. Yep. So what is mitochondria other than the powerhouse? They are organelles with eukaryotic cells that produce adenosine. Trouble saying that. Adenosine triphosphate, ATP. ATP is the main energy molecule that is used by the cell. So high school biology, we're remembering the powerhouse on that cell diagram that everybody had to make.
What?
We had to. You didn't have to make the diagram.
No. So I was in like AP bio.
We had to make us a cell diagram
in AP bio.
No, just in regular high school biology. In high school,
the AP biology class was like college level, and so was AP Chem.
No, we were just vibing in just our regular high school biology.
What?
We had to make cell diagrams. They let us make ours out of cake and candy though, which was bomb. Because then, we would just focus on one student a day. They would present their shit at the end of class, and then we would all get to eat their cake with our cell. So and we'd have candy like the ribosomes or ribosome, whatever. It'd be like that rainbow sour candy, the little flat little blue.
I'm like jealous right now. They were my biology class was like the exact same as college.
No, we were vibes. Yeah. Oh, I have a note here. It says insert quick story about Take My Strong Hand. And I will insert this quick story. So a majority of our audience, I'm sure you all have seen the scary movie, like the funny scary movies. Gabby, have you ever seen them?
Yes, actually, Steve made me watch them.
I bet you were like, what the fuck is this?
It was funny. It was something for sure. Not what I'd spend my time doing on purpose, but it was something.
I used to watch them back in the day when I would partake in the devil's lettuce, but that's neither here nor there. Man, I would crack up. That one where he rolls himself, the haunted house, rolls him into a joint and smokes him. Such funny stuff. Anyways, so there is a scene in one of those movies where the guy has a really weird wonky hand, like the waiter guy to the house or whatever. He's passing out all the food and he stirs up the mashed potatoes with his hand or something like that. They're all joking and they're like, hee, my germs, poking it and whatnot. And then he puts his hand in and no one eats the mashed potatoes. So, the year is probably 2012, 2013. I'm in high school. Everyone's super excited for this cake. It looks so good. All of my friends are in biology class. We're all goofing off because that movie was like a big thing then. And someone's like, hee, my germs, and then pokes their finger in the cake and, no big deal. Then another kid does it and another kid does it. And then the smelliest kid in class goes up to that cake and he's like, hee, my germs, just like the fucking movie, and puts his fucking hand in that cake. And this kid, I don't want to judge. I'm not judging. The kid stunk, all right? He stunk. I know he had a shower at home. He just didn't use it, and that was his choice. And that is why I will say that he stunk, because it was something that was in his control, and he just didn't give a shit. But straight out of the fucking movie, none of us ate that cake. We went from being like, oh, we're so excited, hee, to now everyone's like, oh, man, just after lunch, I'm kind of full today. Yeah, none of us were mean about it. We didn't let him know, now I'm not going to eat the cake because you put your whole fucking hand in it. But yeah, just like out of the movie. But that was
See?
my experience with mitochondria, and that's the episode. Anyways, I'm just kidding. Oh, I kid. Mitochondria, though. They produce ATP through the process of cellular respiration, like aerobic respiration, which requires oxygen. I don't know if you all ever had to learn about the Krebs cycle, but that's one of my most hated lessons in school in the entire world, and it takes place in the mitochondria. Man, I hated the Krebs cycle. It's probably one of my 13th reasons. So the amount of the mitochondria inside a cell is dependent on how much energy the cell needs to produce in the first place. Our muscle cells have a lot of mitochondria because it's a necessity to be able to move our bodies around efficiently. But then you look at red blood cells whose job is carrying oxygen to other cells, and they have no mitochondria. But for today's episode purposes, why do we even care about mitochondria, and why did I write an episode about it? Well, I'll tell you. Columbia researchers have just discovered something new, interesting to me. I don't know if you all find it interesting, but they've discovered some new things about mitochondria that I wanted to share, and I think it deserves an episode. I haven't written a strictly scientific episode in a little bit, but here we are. I was sitting at work the other day, and you know when you open up an internet tab nowadays, it'll show you a bunch of articles by default. Anyways, one of the articles I saw was discussing how brain health is rooted in state of mind, which caught my attention. And it said that having more positive experiences in life has a direct association with lower odds of developing brain disorders like Alzheimer's disease, slower cognitive decline that comes with age, and even said it has a link to longer life in general. So we've known these things, but what we don't know is how that connection between our feelings and experiences can translate into physical changes that will either protect or potentially harm our brains. Until now. Dun, dun, dun. So the study from Columbia researchers suggests that mitochondria in the brain might just play a fundamental part. How do we get the supply of energy to the brain? The powerhouse, our friend, the mitochondria. You all guessed it, right?
Yeah.
Studies are now showing us that the molecular machinery that the mitochondria use when transforming energy is given a significant boost in older adults who have experienced less psychological stress throughout their lives than when you compare those people to other people who have had more negative experiences.
So
when I read this, I was like, shit.
When I don't understand, because I have had a bunch of negative experiences as a teenager and child, but now my life's kind of slightly improved. So am I going to get Alzheimer's? And my dad has like dementia, but he had like a pretty also traumatic childhood, but he's also like 80 something.
I feel like when it comes to Alzheimer's, I don't know. I feel like there are a lot of contributing factors. Like, I mean, you got genetic aspects of it that come into play. Like, as far as dementia goes, on the Hatter side of my family, if any of you all are listening, I'm sorry. I love you guys. But we all get fucking Alzheimer's. Every one of us. Gabby, what are you doing?
My eyebrows.
I just look over at the camera and she's like making weird faces.
Is there like a genetic test?
Everyone on my dad's side gets it. And I mean, I don't mean like you might get it. No, I mean like my great grandpa killed himself because he thought he was losing his marbles. It doesn't happen until we get super, super old though. So that's a plus. But I guess he didn't know what dementia was. So he killed himself because he was like, I'm going insane.
I have to be like annoying enough that you never forget me. Don't worry, I got you. Like you're going to see my face, not remember exactly who I am, but remember how I made you feel.
I'll be like, she's my bestie. We're good. Hopefully I'm one of those super happy people, because a lot of people that get dementia and Alzheimer's, the majority of them are like pretty chill and pretty happy because they're just like vibing. But then my great grandpa got Alzheimer's, and then my grandpa is now developing Alzheimer's, and then his older sister died of Alzheimer's, and then his younger sister has Alzheimer's, and his two brothers had Alzheimer's, which is all of the siblings. There are no siblings left that did not get Alzheimer's or dementia. And I was talking to my mom about it, even though this is on my dad's side of the family. I was like, good thing I'm a girl. Because, Paul, I'd be worried if I were dad. And she was like, well, I would be worried if I were you. Because, Paul's sister's got it too. And I was like, what?
Oh,
What?
that was ice cold. Like, she did not have to do that.
I was like, you could have just let me be delusional, girl. Like, unnecessary. But yeah. So while this research is super cool, I do also think there are definitely other contributing factors uh, that play a part in it. For sure. I don't even know where I was at.
You were talking about
Ow.
they got more a significant boost in the energy to the brain.
Oh, yeah. The people that had less psychological stressors throughout their lives. So the research article states in the significance section of the article, and I quote, psychosocial experiences predict health trajectories, but the underlying mechanism remains unclear. We report that positive psychosocial experiences are linked to a greater abundance of mitochondrial energy transformation machinery, whereas negative experiences are linked to a lower abundance. Overall, psychosocial experiences accounted for 18 to 25% of the variance in protein abundance for complex 1, the largest and most upstream mitochondrial oxidative phosphorylation enzyme. At single cell resolution, positive psychosocial experiences were particularly related to glial cell mitochondrial phenotypes. As a result, opposite associations between glial cells and neurons were naturally masked in bulk transcriptomic analysis. Our results suggest that the mitochondrial recalibrations in specific brain cell types may represent a potential psychobiological pathway linking psychosocial experiences to human brain health. I get that that is a mouthful, and we are going to dissect that as we go along throughout the episode. But I just wanted to give you all like a gist, kind of toss you in on what we're going to be talking about. So, Caroline Trumpf, her last name is Trump with two F's at the end. So I'm probably going to call her Caroline for the rest of this episode, just in case I don't fuck up her last name. Y'all know me. So Caroline, who is an assistant professor of medical psychology and also one of the individuals who wrote the research article, led the research team with Martin Picard, an associate professor of behavioral medicine at Columbia University's Vagelos College of Physicians and Surgeons. And he's also in the Robert N. Butler Columbia Aging Center, another individual who wrote the article. Caroline said, we're showing that older individuals' states of mind is linked to the biology of their brain mitochondria, which is the first time that subjective psychosocial experiences have been related to brain biology. I put a picture of the two of them in this, and I have no idea why I did it. This picture shows nothing except that they look like happy individuals. So Picard,
it looks like a university catalog, like a dorm commercial.
Yeah, it looks like a fake. It looks like a fake photo, but that's them. They're the two in the middle there. They look smart, like they're explaining things. They look like nice people. Picard also chimed in. If I'm going to call her by her first name, that's only suiting. I call him by his first name too. So we're going to call him Martin. Martin also chimed in. We think the mitochondria in the brain are like antennae, picking up molecular and hormonal signals and transmitting information to the cell nucleus, changing the life course of each cell. And if mitochondria can change cell behavior, they can change the biology of the brain, the mind, the whole person. Honestly, kind of scares me a little bit though, because I don't know if you all can tell, but sometimes I get a little negative, and I don't want that to have a direct effect on the biology of my brain. Maybe that how you think happy thoughts and, it becomes true.
Manifestation?
Yeah, this is evidence for manifestation. I'm just kidding. I don't know. The article states that psychosocial experiences predict health outcomes and longevity through unresolved mechanisms that likely involve the brain. Positive psychosocial factors, such as having a larger social network, or greater purpose in life are associated with reduced risk of mortality and higher cognitive functioning at an older age. And negative psychosocial factors, including social isolation, loneliness, and depression, are associated with increased risk for cognitive impairments. Yeah, do with that what you will. So, what exactly was this research? They used data that was collected by two extensive studies looking at nearly 450 older adults in the United States. They deep dived into their past, looking at their psychosocial information of the participants for 2 decades of their lives. These
That's
participants,
that's a
what, yeah,
lot. That's a lot. Like, did
that,
they have all of
yeah,
that recorded?
you just got to tell like your deepest, darkest shit for 2 decades of your life. It's no big deal.
You know, I'd be good at that. I love to yap. I'm like, anyway, so when I was 5.
Anyway, so one time I saw this snake, and that's how we got here. These participants also volunteered to donate their brains to science after they die. So, like this study's legit. They want to donate their brains so that they could be further studied for the research by being able to look directly at their brain cells. Caroline created these indicators that converted the participants' reports of positive and negative psychosocial factors into a singular score of overall psychosocial experience. She was also scoring each of them on 7 different domains that represented very distinct genetic networks active in the mitochondria. Martin said the use of multivariant mitotype indices is an important innovation because we could more easily interpret the biological state of mitochondria with networks of related genes than an analysis of thousands of individual genes. Makes sense. The studies concluded that the mitochondrial domain, which assessed the organelle's energy transformation machinery, was directly associated with psychosocial scores. Caroline said greater well being was linked to greater abundance of proteins in the mitochondria needed to transform energy, whereas negative mood was linked to lower protein content. This may be why chronic psychological stress and negative experiences are bad for our brains, because they damage or impair mitochondrial energy transformation and the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for high level cognitive tasks. That's a lot to unpack.
That
And I
is.
don't like it.
Neither do I.
I mean, it is cool. As far as science goes, it is cool. But as someone who's had some negative things happen, I don't want to know that it has a direct relation to my functioning brain. I
I
don't
for
know.
sure know it has impacted my brain because I used to be so smart. And now I'm like, damn, girl, you want to be
Girl,
a
you're still
doctor?
smart.
Yeah, but comparatively, Brenna, I used to be so smart. When I tell you, like, top of my class, people could not touch me in grades. And now I feel like I can't even form full sentences occasionally. I
Have you seen those
genuinely.
memes where it's like if you were in gifted and talented in school,
Yeah, but I was
which
gifted and talented in
don't want to brag, I was
college.
in gifted and talented, but it says that if you were in gifted and talented when you were young, then you're probably depressed now. And I'm like,
Yeah. But my brother was also super smart and he was like super smart in college and now he's a doctor. So I don't know. I feel like it could go either way and he went one way and
yeah,
I went
it's a
the
flip of a
other.
coin.
Yeah. So same
Mm.
parents, same everything, just very significantly different
And you all are
outcomes.
very close in age,
Yeah.
but you're a woman and he's a man. Maybe that has some kind
Maybe
of.
because now he's like a surgeon and I post
Yeah, but
inappropriate.
you were very successful. Do not sell
Oh.
yourself short. You're about to sell yourself short. You're
Have
very
you
smart.
seen my video on the Eiffel Tower of Hatred? Like he saves lives. And I'm like, I want to form an Eiffel Tower of hatred between Alexander the Great, me, and Darius the Third of Persia. So really, I don't
And what's
understand.
wrong with that? What's the harm in that?
I just feel like maybe my brain.
You're
Ooh.
helping people in different ways. All right?
I'm
Still
helping
helping
him.
people.
I'm helping him laugh. And he's
You
like,
keep me giggling.
he's doing like liver transplants and heart transplants, and I'm like, listen, guys, here's
Hey,
an
but if you
inappropriate
if
video.
you keep people in a better mood, then they won't have to go to him. Because I guess that our health has direct relation to if we're happy or not.
Oh
There
my
we go.
gosh.
Full circle. All right, I'm gonna read a direct quote from the research article right now. I hate reading direct quotes, but for this kind of stuff, I feel like I have to because I don't know. I feel like it's a necessity. I just want you all to get all the information. All right, I'm going to start. Existing human studies documenting a connection between daily psychosocial experiences and mitochondria have mostly been conducted and in peripheral immune cells. I said that weird as hell. Peripheral. Peripheral immune cells. I even know how to say that word. I know how to say that word. And I was like, peripheral. That's pregnancy brain right there. My gray matter is shrinking. The gray matter is shrinking.
I just want a soundbite of that for my birthday.
No.
Like, just clip that.
In peripheral. I'll probably leave it in too. You are going to come for me, but just be kind a little bit. Okay. Continuing on. While these and other studies identified mitochondrial biology as a potential psychobiological pathway, findings in leukocytes are limited by high inter-individual variation in cell type abundances, rapid cell turnover of mitotic cell subpopulations, and dynamic immune processes that influence mitochondrial biology, but say little about the health or systemic properties of mitochondria themselves. In comparison, the brain contains neurons and glial cells that exist in relatively stable proportions compared to immune cells across the lifespan. Moreover, mitochondrial metabolism specifically directs cellular activities, including neural excitability and presynaptic neurotransmitter release, neurogenesis, as well as glial cell properties, including astrocyte proliferation, microglia activation, and oligodendrocyte. No, I was so close through this whole thing on saying everything right, and then they throw in a word like oligodendro
Oligodendrocyte. It's a
oligodend. I was like cruising through this, and I bet you all were thinking, "Man, Brenna knows her shit." And then they oligodendrocyte me.
Well, what I learned, so since I'm doing my YouTube channel, since I started it, a lot of the words that we were using in school, I would read them in my textbook, but I am terrible auditory learner. So like during lecture, I did not register anything that was said. So I had my own way of pronouncing all of these scientific words. And so I was watching a YouTube video and they were saying these words and I'm like, what? Because I say electrolysis and it's electrolysis, but I, in my head, always say electrolysis. So it was just a moment of, hey, I should know this because I did so much work involving, I don't know.
I think it makes sense. If people say stuff wrong, it just means that they've read it and they learned it in a book.
I've had like professors at like lectures, like entire conferences say words weird because they're super geniuses, but they just read it. They don't necessarily say it a whole lot. And
there's nothing wrong with it.
And if
I
you
don't ever say oligodendrocyte, I see it's already gone.
But also they have like PhDs. So like I highly doubt anybody's like correcting the PhD. So they just keep on saying it weird. And I'm like, that's valid, honestly. That would be me.
Good for them. By the way, the end of that sentence should have said an oligodendrocyte differentiation. But I cut it off there. Continuing on. Glial cells may in fact contribute to brain sensing of their peripheral, you almost got me, didn't fall for it, metabolic and hormonal signals and be preferentially sensitive to systemic energy metabolism. For reasons that may relate to the preferential oxidation of glucose and unique metabolic requirements for OXPHOS complex 1 in brain tissue. In human genetic diseases in animal models, the brain is particularly vulnerable to OXPHOS complex 1 defects. Neural development rates and cellular aging trajectories are also under mitochondrial regulation, opening the possibility that mitochondrial alterations could influence brain aging and the risk of neurodegenerative diseases. I feel like once I fuck up one word, it's like I get in my head and then it's just a big old ball of mush. This point is supported by well documented alterations of mitochondria biology, particularly OXPHOS and mtDNA in brains of individuals with Alzheimer's disease. Given the central role of the brain in the processing of psychosocial exposures, as well as in the production of effective experiences, it represents the most relevant tissue to investigate mitochondria's psychobiological associations. In this study, we examine how we prospectively collected positive and negative psychosocial factors related to postmortem protein and transcript abundance of known mitochondrial pathways in hundreds of human brains, in bulk brain tissue, and in single cells. The research didn't stop there, though. Researchers also looked at mitochondria in specific cell types in the brain. What they found was that the associations between mitochondria and the psychosocial factors were not exactly driven by the brain's neurons, but by its glia cells instead, which they mentioned. We've already mentioned a few times the glia cells. But everyone always thinks it's the neurons, We always think that it is the neurons, but maybe it's not. We always assumed these cells played more of a supporting role in the past, but perhaps they are more in charge than we thought. Martin says this piece of the study, made possible by our collaboration with the Columbia Center for Translational and Computational Neuroimmunology, is what I think makes it particularly significant. To ask questions at this level of cellular resolution in the brain is unprecedented in the mitochondrial field. Neurons have been the focus of neuroscience, but we're waking up to the fact that other cells in the brain may be driving disease instead. So now we know that there is a direct connection between mitochondria with our mood changes, but we do not know which came first, the chicken or the egg. This exact study discussed above does not determine if the participants' psychosocial experiences are what altered their brain mitochondria, or if it's the opposite and the state of their mitochondria has a direct effect on their experiences. Martin did mention other studies in this article that might suggest the relationship between mitochondria and the mood works both ways. He said that in animal studies, the evidence is strong for the working of both ways. The main scientific article we're talking about, does directly discuss this by saying, our findings linking psychosocial experience to the brain mitochondria agree with a vast body of animal literature documenting an effect of chronic stress exposure on various aspects of mitochondrial OXPHOS. In animals, chronic stress leads to reduced protein expression. I almost said specifically instead of specifically. And Chris gets on me about that all the time. He's like, "Oh, specifically, Brenna? Did it happen specifically?" And I'm like, "You shut your fucking mouth." That's not what the article says. That's what I say. In animals, chronic stress leads to reduced protein expression, specifically of complex 1. Complex 1 enzymatic activity and complex 1 driven respiration. Thus, in line with our human brain findings, chronic stress may preferentially affect brain mitochondrial complex 1 biology for reasons that remain unclear. Martin says that chronic stress affects mitochondrial energy transformation. He also conducted another recent study with a collaborator, Eliza Epel at UCSF, on people, not on animals, that found the first evidence that mood may affect mitochondria in humans. For this study, positive mood predicted greater mitochondrial energy production in the blood cells of the participants, but their mitochondrial activity did not predict mood. So, that is evidence that it doesn't go both ways. But then if you look at the animal studies, shows evidence that it does. A little contradictory.
Interesting.
I know. I in my opinion, I kind of feel like that it doesn't go both ways. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little torn. I almost feel like our mood has a direct impact on our mitochondrial production. But then could our mitochondrial production? I don't know. I
So
am torn.
I got the Aura ring for Christmas and it tracks like stress and heart rate variability and a bunch of things. And when I have anxiety, my heart rate variability is like in the 20s. Like keep in mind, you want this to be like close to 100. But if I'm stressed, it is down, like so far down. Like keep in mind, so it also tracks like if you're getting sick, like physiological stress and everything. And
Yeah.
so when I'm anxious, I get actual terrible scores for physiological stress. And I know it works because when I'm about to get a migraine, it tells me like, hey, you have like minor signs of something being wrong with you. Or if I'm getting sick, it'll tell me like, I'm getting sick, so it'll give like these signs. But when I'm anxious, it also gives those signs. So it does have like huge,
Damn.
like your mental health has huge impacts on like your physical health and just everything in general. So I would not be surprised if, it fully impacts.
Yeah. Do you think that it would go both ways?
I don't know. Because the difference between us, we have significant differences between animals, like
Yeah.
in our brains, you know what I'm saying? At least. So I don't know if they
Mhm.
would get exactly the same readings there from the animals to us. Well, especially when it comes to stress, because we have different, like we're quote
Yeah.
unquote more complex organisms or whatever. So I
Yeah,
don't
our
know.
stressors are definitely different.
Like it'll definitely need more studies. They'll need a lot more finding.
Oh no. It is super interesting. I do think like everything ties into each other. Like there's so much more going on in the human body than we can even begin to imagine.
Oh, 100%.
Caroline says it's possible that these mechanisms reinforce one another. Chronic stress could alter an individual's mitochondrial biology in ways that subsequently affects their perception of social events, creating more stress. The emerging picture in the literature is that all of these pathways are interactive. So, Martin and Caroline are still currently doing studies with hundreds of brains from the same cohorts of participants to try and get as much information as possible. We do know that the brain's energy transformation machinery was greater in participants with higher psychosocial scores, but we still don't know if that is what leads to greater energy transformation. Um, Martin says, I keep Caroline and Martin, they know their shit. Martin says mitochondria are the source of health and life, but we don't have ways to quantify health, only disease. We need a science of health, which is so true. He didn't say this, I'm saying this, but that is like, we focus a lot on disease, but we don't focus that much on the way that healthy human beings tick. He goes on to say we need tests that show how healthy and resilient someone is. This would be valuable clinically to monitor changes in health before the appearance of disease. And it could transform medical research by giving scientists something to target other than decades of accumulated protein deposits or other forms of long term damage. We do be focusing on the damage. We focus on all the bad stuff and then we don't focus on the healthy stuff. They finished out their research article with a summary. In summary, the present study links individual psychosocial experiences, antemortem, with human brain mitochondrial biology, postmortem. Our results documented a robust psychobiological association, 18 to 25% of shared variance between the psychosocial experiences and brain DLPFC mitochondrial oxphus complex 1. Moreover, single nucleus studies of psychosocial mitochondrial associations suggest that glial and neuronal cell subtypes may either respond to or contribute to human psychosocial experiences in opposite directions. Cell type specifically, therefore, represents an important concept to integrate into our emerging understanding of the processes linking psychosocial factors. brain energetics, and mitochondria. While the directionality of these effects and the underlying mechanisms remain to be examined in detail, our results are consistent with the notion that recalibrations in mitochondrial energetics may transduce the effect of psychosocial exposures into molecular and biological changes that shape brain health and aging. Boom. Heard that. So, in conclusion, mitochondria does have a direct relationship to our brain health. Does it go both ways?
We don't
We
know.
don't exactly know. I kind of think that our experiences directly contribute to the mitochondria and energy transformation. I don't necessarily know if it swings the other way. But yeah, that's what I got, guys. That's what I got.
Interesting. That's a lot to think about, my brain.
It was a lot to think about in my brain too, and I don't exactly want to think about it. I mean, like I said, it is cool from a scientific perspective, but as someone who's struggled with anxiety and depression, I'm like, damn.
So, interesting thing. And here's the thing, I love how we just don't necessarily know how things work, but we can accidentally find solutions. So I get pretty bad. You know how people get like PMS? I get like premenstrual, like that depressive disorder thing where I literally want to run away from my life, burn the
Yeah.
house down. I cry nonstop. I'm angry all the time. I literally can't eat. I'm shaking. I'm crying. Like it's bad. And that's like a week before my period. It's just hell. And then I start my period and I'm like the nicest person ever. Like so loving. And it's just 1 week of just straight, what is wrong with you? Like straight tweaking. Like it's not just like a
Yep.
little bit of depression. It's quite literally like
No, it's
I
like my
will.
life is gonna end.
Yeah. So Pepsid, that like stomach medicine,
Yeah.
someone on TikTok was like, hey, if you have these issues, try taking Pepsid. And then some doctors were like, yeah, we don't know, that shouldn't do anything, but if it's working for you, I mean, go for it, because something about histamines in the brain, I don't even know. But I tried it for like 2 months and I've not tried to run away from my life. So that's crazy how that works.
See, that's insane. Like we don't know why it works, but if it does work, then cool. Like,
And I was
what?
like, is it a placebo effect? Like, I don't, at this point, I have absolutely no idea, but I know it's probably not a placebo effect because even the physical, like, effects of that whole ordeal aren't as prominent because I usually get like really bad sweats, really bad
Yeah.
anxiety, just like really bad pains, headaches, body aches, fever, and I don't get all of that. So I don't know.
So clearly something's going on, even if
Also, I'm sorry, I keep
doctors can't
talking about
pinpoint what it is.
the Aura Ring, but it literally gives me, when I'm about to like, when I'm getting close to like my period, like I get so sick that I get like major signs of physiological stress on my ring. And so when I'm on the Reddit, a lot of men get major signs when they literally have to go to the hospital because they're like that sick. And a lot of women get major signs on the Aura Ring when they're literally just on their period. And so all the men are
Wow.
like, wait, are you guys just like suffering for that entire time period? And they're
Well,
like, yeah.
yeah.
And we're just used to it.
Yeah, it just sucks ass. And it's
Because
just something that we have to deal with every fucking month.
Steven also did not even realize you could get a fever and everything. But like when I, leading up to my period, I literally run a significant
Yeah.
fever, get like a sore throat. You would think I'm sick. And for a while
Many
there, I used
women
to
do
think,
that.
and it's literally just the hormones in my body wreaking absolute havoc. And I literally am so
Mhm.
sick, I cannot move. Like I have to move and I have to do things, but I am so ill. And Steven gets so worried, and it's so kind of him. But I'm like, yeah, this is just kind of my life. Welcome
This
to my
is
life.
just life. This is just part of life for some women. My Mima used to, or not used to. Well, I mean, back in the day, my Mima had to get a blood transfusion one time during her period.
Oh,
A fucking
wow.
blood transfusion. Yes, like it's not fun. Gentlemen, distinguished gentlemen.
It'd be like that sometimes. But it's a cool thing. Oh, when the show's over, I'll show you like all the cool features on here though. I learned
I
so
am
much.
excited
But
I
yeah,
was even I was after you mentioned the Aura Ring, I was looking that shit up and it seems cool as hell.
it is pretty cool. I was so on the fence because I'm like, that seems absolutely ridiculous and expensive. But it even like,
But it's cool.
yeah, like even with drinking, I used to be like, oh, I don't drink that much. It doesn't have much of an effect on me, blah, blah, blah. And even if I have one single drink, it has such a major effect on like my heart rate, my resting heart rate, like literally one drink that I'm like, I'm good. Thank you so much. Because what's the point of working out if you're just going to undo it with a single alcoholic bevy? It's not even worth it.
I wish I could drink. Like I used to have fun drinking, but my body, like I know obviously the majority of our bodies don't like alcohol cuz it's foreign and it's not supposed to be in there regardless. But some people can handle it better than others. My body cannot do it. It's like she is fully against it. The amount of sweats and panic, just full on panic the next day, like cannot function whatsoever. Even if I've only had 2 beers, like it's not even like I'm sick from hangover. It's just my body's natural reaction to alcohol. She don't like it. And I couldn't imagine from where I haven't drank in like 3 years. I'd be so drunk off like a glass of wine or something. I do want a Michelob Ultra though. Maybe after I have this babe, I might. Because now I'm officially off of anxiety meds. I'm off of every med except for Unisom. Shout out to Unisom. But for my nausea. But now I could actually drink again in theory if I wanted to. So I might just do like a little dibble dabble, just a little shoop shoop,
But this was a
just
cool
a little
episode.
Mickey. It was a cool episode. It was a lot. And like I said, the science behind it is super cool, but it's almost like I don't want to wrap my brain around all that knowledge because I don't know. It's a lot. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I feel like there's some things we're just not meant to understand. And some people are meant to understand it. Caroline and Martin, you guys take it from here. Like I've done anything. I've done no research. I've just reiterated what they have already done. But like you all seem like very well-rounded individuals who can handle all that knowledge and go forth with it. Me, it scares me a little bit. All right, thanks guys. That's all I got for this episode. I guess we're going to cut her
Bye.
off here. Bye. See you next time.
Adios.